TDX has released, and with it, you start off with Ranger. The Ranger is a reliable starter tower, unlike most tower defense games, with it possessing hidden detection, crowd control capabilities, and decent damage. Yet what do the levels do? Which path is better, and should you be using it? Let's get right into it. So Ranger starting at level 0 has a fire rate of 0.08, range of 9, damage of 1, reload speed of 1.75 with a burst of 3, all at a cost of 280 cash. This leads to a DPS of 1.5. As for the model itself, it's just a basic military uniform with a cap. Level 1, we get 1 more range, 0.5 more damage, and a shorter burst cooldown, all at the price of 350. The DPS also increases from 1.5 to 2.9. Visually, Ranger only seems to get black tactical gloves on his hand, so nothing crazy. Level 2 is a more basic upgrade. Your Ranger only gets 3 more range at a cost of 450. The model is kinda weird though, it gets a vest, but the upgrade name is Laser Sight. On level 3, the reload gets reduced to 1.05 as well as the burst increasing to 6. This comes at a cost of 750, resulting in a DPS of 5. This upgrade also unlocks hidden detection, making it a pretty important upgrade. As for the model, the cap now gets replaced by a helmet that includes an eyepiece. Now on level 4, the damage gets increased by a ton to 6.5, as well as the range increasing to 15 at the cost of 3050. This leads to a DPS of 21.7. The gun seems to get replaced by a new one with no other changes to the model itself. Now on the max level, we get a ton of changes. The damage gets increased all the way to 11. Range also gets increased to 18. The gun gets replaced by an automatic one with a fire rate of 0.15, all at a cost of 11,000. This results in a DPS of 73.3. It gets a lot of visual changes too. It gets a full-on armored kit with a red eyepiece as well as a new gun. Okay, now let's look at the bottom path upgrades. Level 1, we have a damage increase from 1 to 2.5 at a cost of 300, leading to a solid DPS of 3.7. Definitely the first upgrade you want to get on this tower. Next on level 2, the range gets increased from 9 to 11. The reload also decreases from 1.75 to 1.5 seconds. This comes at a cost of 500, making for a decent DPS of 4.2. On level 3, Ranger gets a few changes. The range gets increased to 12, the damage gets increased to 5.5, as well as the reload going to 1.25 seconds with a 4-round burst. This all comes at a cost of 1450, resulting in a pretty solid DPS of 12.9. Visually, Ranger gets a new cool looking armored grey kit, with the cap also being replaced by a helmet. At level 4, we start getting some pretty cool stuff. The range gets increased to 12, damage also gets increased to 8.5, as well as a 7-round burst. Now that's cool and all, but it also gets a grenade ability. This ability is pretty weak, but the next level is where it starts to become viable. Visually, it only gets a grenade belt with no other changes. Now on the max level, this path really starts to shine. The damage gets increased to 15.5 and the burst size to 8. It also gets a new passive M203 incendiary ability that deals damage over time to enemies. Alongside this is the level 2 grenade that deals an impressive 75 splash damage. This makes this path definitely more crowd control orientated. The upgrade comes at a cost of 10,000 with a DPS of 53.9. However, with the splash damage, it likely deals around 80 to 90 DPS on hordes, which are pretty common in TDX. Visually, it gets the addition of a shield, some goggles, as well as a new gun. So, which path is better? Well, putting them side to side, we have top path having 83.3 DPS and 20 range, as well as hidden detection. Bottom path meanwhile has a minimum DPS of 61.3 and range of 18 with crowd control capabilities. Well, I did a test, and although bottom path did around 15% more damage, the hardest waves tend to be the single target waves like Plague Doctor, where top path Ranger is at its best. From this I can say a mix of both is best, but I'd say at least the majority of your Rangers should be top path. From this I'd say top path is better, especially if you're lazy like me and don't want to click abilities. Overall, it's a great starter tower that can win easy mode alone. However, in the end it is a starter tower. Like, the second you get better towers you throw it in the trash. Like, 420 likes and I'll make more TDX videos. See you on the next one.